A new front, a new method. Israeli drones strike deep inside Yemen. The target, Houthi strongholds in Hodeidah. Missiles fly and threats echo from Tehran to Tel Aviv. This is VERTEX, and is this just retaliation or the start of something far bigger? The Israeli military has launched another round of airstrikes targeting Houthi positions in Yemen. On July 21st, Israeli Air Force drones struck the Hodeidah port in response to the Iran-backed group's relentless attacks on Israel. Unlike previous attacks, July 21st airstrikes did not involve dozens of fighter jets, refuelers, and spy planes. Rather, it was carried out by IAF drones, military officials told The Times of Israel. According to The Times of Israel, Israeli military officials confirmed that the strikes targeted infrastructure used by the Iran-backed Houthis to support attacks on Israel.
Among the military infrastructure struck were engineering vehicles, fuel containers, naval vessels used for military activities, and force against the State of Israel and vessels in the maritime zone adjacent to the port, and additional terror infrastructure used by the Houthi terrorist regime.
The port of Hodeidah, nominally a civilian maritime hub, has become a repeated target in Israel's long-range campaign against Houthi threats. The Israeli military claims the port is being systematically used to import weapons from Iran, then repurposed for attacks on Israeli territory and global shipping lanes. The IDF accused the Houthi regime of exploiting civilian maritime infrastructure for military purposes, including attacks on commercial and transit ships in international waters. In a separate statement, the Israeli Defense Force noted that
Hodeidah port has been targeted multiple times previously due to its use by the Houthis for transferring weapons supplied by Iran. These arms shipments enable the Houthis to carry out terrorist operations against Israel and its allies. Continued activity and attempts to restore terrorist infrastructure at the port were detected. Therefore, components facilitating these efforts were struck.
Following the strike, Israeli Defense Minister Israel Katz said that the IDF was forcefully enforcing any attempt to restore the previously attacked terror infrastructure.
The Israeli military has just struck terror targets of the Houthi terror regime at the port of Hodeidah and is forcefully enforcing the prevention of any attempt to restore the previously attacked terror infrastructure. As I have made clear, Yemen's fate will be the same as Tehran. The Houthis will pay a heavy price for missile launches against Israel. We will continue to act at all times and in all places to defend the State of Israel.
The statement signals a wider doctrine. Deterrence not just against the Houthis, but against Iran and its regional proxies writ large. The Houthis last attacked Israel on July 18th night with a ballistic missile. However, it was intercepted by the country's defense system. The group, which agreed to a deal with the US in May to stop targeting American ships, appeared to step up attacks on maritime traffic earlier this month, destroying 2 ships and killing several sailors. The Houthis held their fire after a ceasefire deal was brokered between Israel and Hamas in January 2025. By that point, they had fired over 40 ballistic missiles and dozens of drones, as well as cruise missiles at Israel in July, prompting Tel Aviv's strike on the port city. Since March 18th, when the IDF resumed its offensive against Hamas in the Gaza Strip, the Houthis in Yemen have launched 62 ballistic missiles and at least 15 drones at Israel. Several of the missiles have fallen short. The IDF has vowed a decisive response to repeated Houthi attacks, which it says targeted Israeli civilians and emphasized its determination to neutralize any threats to Israel regardless of location. Yemen has consistently justified its attacks on vessels in the Red Sea, framing them as a response to Israeli aggression and US support for the Gaza war. On July 20th, just hours before the Israeli strike on Damascus, Yemen's de facto leader, Syed Abdulmalik Badr al-Din al-Houthi, delivered a defiant televised address. Speaking on the anniversary of Imam Zaid's death anniversary, al-Houthi reaffirmed Yemen's steadfast support for the Palestinian cause and condemned what he described as American and Israeli tyranny.
Our position in supporting the Palestinian people and confronting American and Israeli tyranny remains unchanged. We are confident in Allah's true promise of victory, despite the aggression, blockades, severe restrictions on humanitarian aid, and an organized economic war.
He accused Israel of turning humanitarian aid into a tool of genocide and warned that Gaza's suffering was not only a humanitarian disaster, but a theological test for the Islamic world.
What the Palestinian people in Gaza are enduring is a horrific tragedy. Children are dying daily from hunger. This is the worst stage of starvation. Many in Gaza are suffering extreme hunger while surrounded by hundreds of millions of Arabs and 2 billion Muslims watching helplessly, as if they were a paralyzed nation.
As Israel expands its military footprint deeper into Yemen and the Houthis continue missile launches in defiance, the regional power struggle intensifies. On one side, an Israeli doctrine of preemption and deterrence aimed at neutralizing Iran-backed threats across multiple theaters, from Lebanon to Syria to Yemen. On the other, a revolutionary narrative that sees the war in Gaza not as a local conflict, but a religious obligation for the entire Ummah. For now, drones fly over Hodeidah, and missile alerts still sound in Israeli skies. This is not merely a war between Israel and Yemen, but a proxy flashpoint in a broader regional reckoning.